What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Submission Fishing Podcast. Hope you all doing well tonight. Give it a few minutes, let some people roll in here before we get the official start going. Just say what's up to everybody. Big Water Outdoors. Oos, what's going on? Glad you could join us. Benji Moreno, good evening. How's it going, Benji, out in Arizona? Down in SD, welcome to the show. Driftwood Fishing, what's going on, man? Richie Rich, Oos, good to see you. Donnie G, Semperfi, welcome to the show. Glad you can join us. What's going on, guys? On Instagram, we're getting ready to start the YouTube show. So if you want to come join us, we got Captain Hale from the Voyager. He's going to be on. So pretty cool if you guys ever want to, ask questions for a fishing boat captain. Now's your chance. I'm sure he's got some good stuff for us. Should be good. Not much is gearing up for striper season. When does that start? Tonight? Frey Dogs Fishing Adventures. What's going on? Glad you could join us. What's going on, guys, on Instagram? Could hit us up. Come see us on YouTube. So what's new with you guys? Getting ready to go fishing? Season's starting to warm up here. What's it like in California so far? It looks like the fish counts have improved a little bit. I've been keeping an eye on it. Looks like some more bluefin are starting to come in. Although that's what kind of happened last year too. Remember the bluefin kind of came um, in like late May, and then everybody thought it was on. I remember I got like 2 or 3 bluefin, went on a trip, and then they kind of disappeared until later in the season. It was like all June they kind of took off, so they showed up quick and then kind of dipped out. But looked like the calico numbers were pretty good out there. I know out here's been good. Sea trout, redfish starting to run. Cobia starting to hit the beach. So definitely changing. The warm water's rolling in and it's definitely getting good. Cthulhu, calamari, kayak rentals. I'm on the trip. Can't wait for October. Oh, hell yeah, man. It's going to be awesome, dude. We're going to be, and this is like one of the shirts I did last year was the Submission at Sea 2023 shirt. Yeah, it's the first time we've done a multiple day. Every other year we just do the one day. They've been pretty good, but it's really not enough to get what you want. I guess we've kind of graduated. Last year we got on a bunch of Dorado, which was pretty surprising. We had to look for them, but then once we found a patty, even though the bite was kind of fickle, there was like hundreds of them, and we ended up catching quite a bit, so it ended up being good. And then the year before that, we just went to the Coronado Islands, and that was actually a pretty good trip too. We got some pretty good yellowtail, so all of our trips have been pretty good so far. Yeah, should be good. What's going on, guys? Limits last night. You and I killed it last. Oh, that's right, Travis. Yeah, me and you were on the Legend. Yeah, it was last May, dude. We smashed it. And then after that, it was like I think we were on one of those rare trips that did really well in May, and then it kind of just disappeared. But yeah, it was limits on the last night. I remember that. That was a good trip. That's right. It was the Legend. Man, I've been on so many boats, I don't even remember anymore. But yeah, that was awesome. Richie Rich says hitting up the Coronado River in the morning for bass. Oh, Colorado River. Nice, man. You should hook up with Benji. I think he lives on the Colorado River too. 60-mile bank going off with the big rockfish. Yeah, we got some good insight for that. About some changes in fishing locations and regulations stuff should be good. Colton says I got my PB last night on the 15 Stellar Shad. 19.75 pounds. Dang, dude, on what? A bass? Oh, or 19.75 spotty? 3.1 pounds? No, you better send me pictures if that's what it was. That's a freaking monster fish, dude. That's crazy. All right, guys. Got some viewers in here, 23 people watching. We'll go ahead and get the show started. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Submission Fishing Live podcast. I'm your host, Muto. Glad you could join us. We got a good show for you today. We've got the captain of Voyager Sport Fishing, Hale Abels. He joined us, and coincidentally, he is going to be the captain of the Submission at Sea trip we're going on this year. So if you guys want to fish with us, we're going out for 2 days, and we're going to go long range, probably look for some tuna, and then go for some big rockfish. It's primarily a jig trip, but, you can fish whatever you want. You can do live bait, all that stuff. But yeah, he's got a lot of good insight for us. And I always like talking to captains when they come on the show. We get kind of a inside look at, the things that we don't really see. The captain's helm it's kind of a special place, especially with these sport boats, are pretty unique to Southern California. And, it's cool seeing kind of how all the operation works. And it's also a chance for you guys to ask questions and, you know, get some of those questions, and anything you've ever really wanted to ask a captain, but you haven't had a chance to. I mean, this is definitely the time. You don't really have access to that too much. I know when you're on the boats, they're so busy fishing and uh, finding fish and stuff like that. You don't really get too much time to just BS with people. So definitely, yeah, it should be good. I don't really have too much announcement wise. I do have some pretty good stories, some funny stories, but we'll save those for next week when I don't have a guest. Basically about like fishing regulations and stuff like that. So we'll hit those up. The only thing coming up is the um, BD Outdoors trip or not trip. Spotted Bay Bass Tournament is the first one they're doing. We're sponsoring that, so we have a prize for that going on. That's at Mission Bay, and it's going to be a pretty big spotty tournament they're trying to push. So a lot of you guys fish the Spotty Bowl. If you're into spotty fishing, bay fishing, definitely go check that out. Check out the BD Outdoors trip. You've got to sign up with them. They'll give you, and you check in at Dana Landing. You're going to go get like your bump board from them, and then everything's done through an app. So if you guys want to compete, it should be pretty fun. Looks like there's a lot of prizes, lots of sponsors. Definitely go check that out. And then, of course, we sponsored the Spotty Bowl. So I think Colton, he won, right? You won the longest fish on the submission jig, I think, last go round. So congratulations, dude. That's awesome. So without further ado, let's bring in the man himself, the captain. We won't waste too much time. We'll just get right into it, guys.
How's it going, everyone?
Good to see you. Thanks for coming by, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to have you be on. And thank you for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us who you are, kind of what you do, what's your boat, and just give us the rundown.
So owner operator of the Voyager out of Seaforth Landing. It's been there for many years. Had a few other operators for Mark Onos, who now operates the Pacific Voyager, and then it was Jody Morgan, Todd Meyer, Chuck Johnson, and then I took over from Chuck. We run everything from 1 to 2.5 day trips. We also do full days, but primarily for our charters, it's 1 to 2.5 days. We sleep 18 passengers, and
Nice.
we run a pretty personalized charter program. So we try to fit it to our fishermen's needs and our customers' needs. Highly emphasize on customer service, and then making sure that you guys walk off happy with the big bag. I heard you mention that you were on the Legend last year. It's also a Drake, just like the Legend, same manufacturer. We're just a little smaller version of the Legend there. So
that's cool. What's going on, guys? On Instagram, come find us on YouTube. I didn't know that. So was it a purpose-built fishing vessel? I know a lot of these boats are like, I know like the Malahini was like a Navy boat, and some of these other ones get repurposed.
Yeah, so like Malahini, the Ranger 85, the Queen, I think the Coral Sea, all those boats were naval patrol boats or different Navy ships that then were repurposed. Seaways like the Pacifica, Cortez, Relentless, those are purpose built. Drakes, we were purpose built. It was originally the Miss L, and then I'm pretty sure it went to New Tortuga after the Miss L when Mark Onos took it over. I might be mistaken on that.
Awesome. So tell us about like how'd you start fishing? Did you grow up fishing, or what was the
pretty basic story. Dad who fished, learned to fish, trout, bass, catfish, things like that. He was an avid sport fishing customer, do a lot of the longer range trips, things like that. Earlier memories, taking them down the docks, dropping them off, picking them up, seeing all the big fish laid out. And then high school came around, started kayak fishing a lot, was really into actually spotty and calico fishing and green bass fishing. I had a run there that was pretty fun. That's pretty much all I did. And then started pushing offshore to fish calicos, and kind of just the small progression of having a kayak to a small skiff, and then graduating and starting to work in the industry. I worked for a six-pack operation for a long time, along with filling in on boats, from the Dominator to Todd with the Voyager. Would come and night drive for him for a long time, for a few years towards the end of the season when the six-pack season would slow down. Was Chuck's relief operator last year, and then I also owned my own 6-pack operation for 3 years before I bought this, and we did similar fishing, mostly half day fishing, but we also ran
Okay.
anything up to 2 days.
On the 6-pack?
Yeah, yeah. So we had
Oh
a
wow.
47-foot custom built Dale Jeffries
Oh, that's pretty good.
that was the jackpot before, and then we turned it into the Jerry A, and yeah, we would fish anything from half days to 2-day trips on that.
That's awesome. Yeah, you have a lot of those guys. I know a lot of these guys in the chat. Most of them are the avid spotty guys. I think they're kind of in that zone right now. It's like the kayak. Just I know a lot of these guys kayak fish, shore pound, big calico, and spotted bay bass kind of
It's
scene right now.
accessible. It's
Yeah,
accessible. It's fun. It's easy on the pocketbook.
year round.
Year round if you got a bike or you can catch a bus. I mean, we used to take. I grew up in North County, San Diego. We used to take the bus down to San Diego or the train and go fish, and then hop back on and go back home.
Yeah,
For a young angler or anyone really, if you don't have the money to get on the boats, especially now with current prices of just day-to-day living, getting on a sport boat isn't for everyone. If you can shore pound and walk the docks and fish jetties, it's a great way to have fun and still be within the fishing community.
yeah, definitely. I know I lived in Carlsbad before I moved out to Florida. And I just go down to the lagoon a lot. I just
I fished the
walk down
lagoon.
there, or I just throw a rod in my truck and that's it. I go
Exactly.
fish for a couple hours and usually skunk out and then come home.
Yeah, I mean, those lagoons are
Sometimes they do
tricky.
well, but that's a tough lagoon.
Yeah, they get hit hard. We fished Pono a lot. Well, once I got a vehicle when I was 16, we used to drive up to Oceanside and pick bait up from there. Yeah, I think it's like $5 at the time. It's $5, and you kind of shimmy your bucket over.
You send the basket. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and then we'd go fish halibut in springtime. This time of year, man, we fish that north side of that jetty for halibut, and it's pretty good.
Yeah. And the bites there is good, isn't? I feel like they dredge it though, and then it was like they had to be wrecked for like months at a time.
Yeah, it
It was
changes the
crazy.
environment just like anything. Like when they
Yeah.
came through and were planting all that eelgrass in Mission Bay, it kind of slowed things down, pushed stuff around. It's just a
Right.
disturbance, and then it settles back down.
That's cool. So did you start? What's going on, guys? Instagram, I'm on YouTube. I'm gonna sign off here. If you guys want to come join us, come check us out later. Just end the video here. Uh, Discard media. So how'd you get started? Did you start like go through the deckhand route, or what was the kind of your
Yeah,
path through like the sport boat
yeah.
scene?
So coming on, being able to come on kind of free as long as I helped out and bagged fish, clean the boat type thing. Went to school for a little bit. Ended up missing my college finals to come back down to fill in on a boat, and that kind of solidified what I was going to do. I then got a job working at a boat rental, and then weekends when I would come help out on those boats, on the sport boats, and found my way into working for a 6-pack that ran a lot at the time, and it paid better than the sport boat, so I stuck there.
Oh, nice.
A lot of the guys in the sport fishing fleet stick with the sport boats and stick with one boat and move up through the ranks. I kind of took an unconventional route for sure. Everyone has their own opinion on it, but time in the water is time in the water, and it helps out. By no means do I know anything, or does everyone, but you're constantly learning. I think that's what I like so much about this job. But yeah, just worked there for 7 years, and then ended up kind of it was, I'd say like thirds. I still work on the 6-pack, go help out on the sport boats when I could, bouncing from being able to go fish with Andrew on the Pacifica on the later part of it to when it was the Dominator before that, Todd on the Voyager, helped out on the Aztec, and then I was running a private yacht for a little bit, working there, and then doing yacht maintenance, and then saved up enough to be able to buy my own operation. Kind of mirrored the operation that I did before,
Right.
which was they did strictly half days and full days, and then since we had the ability, we stripped out a stateroom and made more bunks, so we were able to sleep a full 8. So 6 passengers, 2 crew, and then a night driver. And we would do everything. Like I said, we do everything from half days to 2 days, and we fished a lot of La Jolla, like
Oh yeah.
primarily, and then full days down to the islands and offshore when that fishing presented itself, and went through there, and then the opportunity came up to be able to purchase the Voyager from my longtime friend Chuck, and took the leap and extremely excited about it. It's a very well maintained boat. Chuck worked for Todd for 7, 8 years before he purchased it himself, and Todd really revamped and put a lot of love into that boat, and it shows, which you guys will see in October. If it looks like a couple of the guys are in
Yeah.
in on the group or on the trip, so you guys will see how much effort that previous owner put in, which I will keep up and also put into.
Yeah, that's exciting, man. I'm excited to be on it. I haven't been on. I've been on so many boats. I haven't been on the Voyager yet. Uh, Probably because it is a smaller boat, and I think that's kind of what was the appeal to me. It was like a lot of these guys wanted to do a 2-day trip, and unfortunately, a lot of the boats like I've chartered before, they were too big, and it's just like it's kind of hard to fill that many spots, for like a private charter. These, like got buddies on the Grande. Like I said, I fished with the Malahini, but he's got the Horizon now. But they're just like
Yes.
so many people. There are like 30 people boats,
Right.
and I'm just like, man, I don't know about all that. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
100%. So we're a smaller platform,
Yeah,
and like you said, personalized charter is kind of like the motto, which we can really do with a load of 18.
yeah, that's awesome.
For our overnights, 25 on our full days, but we can do 18 on our overnights, and that really allows us to dive in and target what our customers want and our customers' needs and fishing levels, along with just giving a little bit more attention to our customers. Having a smaller group, we run the same size crew. We can help out a little bit more, talk a little bit more, show techniques, things
Yeah,
like that. The crew has been on the boat for Alex, our night driver. He's been there since he was 13. I've worked with
wow,
him for a while. And then Trevor, he worked with me at on the previous six pack that I worked for. He moved over here. He's been there for this will be his 4th year, I think. And yeah, it's a good operation. I saw someone mention Kaden's captain. Yeah, Kaden has worked for us. He's a good kid. He will be on our trip tomorrow. He will be on most of our trips. He's going to be going to Cal Maritime. So unfortunately, he will not be on the trip that you guys will be out, but he's going to go get a big boy license and go get a nice education, which is a good thing to have.
and who's that, Caden?
Yeah, Caden's going to be one of our deckhands this year. He worked with me on the six pack. Good
Do we know?
kid, young, got a good drive and a really good work ethic, which you don't see a lot with this younger generation.
I
Not
wonder if
to
I know that Caden. I wonder if it's the Caden we know. Does he like a harbor fisherman and all that stuff too?
Yeah,
Younger
he's
kid?
younger. Yeah,
Yeah.
Encinitas kid, works at Fish 101.
Okay, I'll have to check.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And Colton C wanted to know. He said, "I'm 16 right now. I want to eventually become a deckhand. Any tips?"
Get on the boats and just keep asking. A lot. I mean, back in the day, we were able to have pinheads and things like that, which was a younger crew member that would work for half share or tips. Um, you if you
It's like an
just keep
internship, sort of.
asking, like an internship,
Okay.
exactly, and then you'd move up to becoming a shared operative shared crew member. Um, Now I think a lot of boats try to keep it at 18, just with how the world is. They require you to be 18, but there's still boats that I know that use kids that are under 18. As long as your parents say you can be there and you're polite and respectful and have a worth ethic, that goes a long way. Show up when you say you're going to show up. Do what you say you're going to do, and just follow directions. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, simple but not easy.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a lot
easier
of work.
said than
Yeah,
done sometimes, right?
yeah,
I've been on both sides of it. I've been a bad employee and I've been a good employee. And you live and you learn, right?
yeah. Do 100%. It's so hard. That's the thing too. It's just a lot of times, it's like anybody says, it's so hard finding young people that want to do something like that. It's nice to see.
Well,
But
that goes a long way now. If you're a young kid, young guy, girl, even if you want to come work on the boats and you show the desire to be there, they're gonna probably have you start coming out. You know, you're like,
yeah,
when they're bagging fish or when they're cutting fish, hey, can I help bag fish? Hey, can I help scrub the boat? Is there anything I could do? Could I help you guys get trash off the boat? And if you're going half day fishing or 3/4 day fishing, more often than not, and get familiar with the crew, you'll probably be one of the kids if they need someone, that some person didn't show up or something. Here, bud, here's a little bit of side. Thank you for helping. You were working today, or a little bit over. And then it's like, hey, would you want a job? You think you can work weekends? And it just progresses.
All right. That's cool. So do you ever like
Yeah.
if you're a deck when you spend so much time on the boats and stuff, do you especially if you're like a deckhand, are you just like do you get tired of fishing or you just like over it? Is it like one of those things where it's you love the fish world, but then when you're off, you're like, I don't ever want to see a fish again, or is it just kind of build upon the your love for fishing for
Um,
you?
I think it's I think it's case by case basis with each person. Personally, I'd say no. My crew member Trevor and I, we were out at the river a few weekends ago fishing largemouth.
Awesome.
Fished 12, 14 hours for the day each day for 3 days straight. We had a great time. It's something different. We're hanging out, drifting around the strip, fishing for striper and largemouth, and tried for some smallmouth. Didn't catch any. Fishing was slow. It was kind of cold and real high water line, but I enjoy it. It's a
Yeah.
job that it takes a lot out of you. You're gone a lot, especially on these overnight stuff. And you deep down at some point you have to absolutely love it because you're sacrificing a lot more to be there than
Right.
long work hours, a lot of time away from home, missing out on things. But the things you get to see and the things you get to experience out there are second to none. And as a young kid, I've talked about this before, but you learn if you're a crew member on a boat and you're full time and you apply yourself, you're going to learn so much. I mean, these boats, if you go down on the docks in the winter, every boat's doing maintenance. And if you're a crew member,
Yep.
you can get year round work. You want to learn, you're going to learn electrical work, you're going to learn woodworking work, fiberglass work, uh, some metal work, depending on the boats, uh, diesel mechanic or mechanics. You're going to learn a lot of stuff and pick up a lot of things if you apply yourself.
That's awesome. Yeah. And you just build that value too. The more you can do, the more valuable you are to a crew. It just builds from
And
there.
I mean, think about it. We're one of the smaller boats in the fleet, right? We take 18 people. Every group you're getting, you're taking 18 people that you have to have different conversations with, and we're a return customer base.
Right.
So you end up having to remember and build relationships with each of these people. So if you go into the business world, you're going to apply that to somewhere else. You have to remember their name, what their kids' names were, what they do for a job, how their last trip was, things like that, and be able to have a conversation with them, even when you're tired and may not want to. You have to be polite and be respectful, and that goes a long way. And that gets applied into any other line of work that you do.
Yeah. And that's 100% the truth. And I think that's a lot of people miss, they think, oh, I'm a good fisherman. I'm gonna go out there. I'm like, that's really like the smallest aspect of it. Prior to moving out here, I owned a plumbing company up in North County, and I sold it
Yeah,
before I moved. And but by the time I sold it, we were up to like a dozen employees at sometimes. And I used to tell my guys that, like, look, being a good plumber is like second to being a good being good at customer service. You going in there, smile, being liked,
yeah,
being trusted, being a good person like that. That is far and above more important than you actually being able to like change out a toilet. If you just go in there with a bad attitude, you're not going to get anywhere. You're not going to make any money. You're not going to get return customers. You're not going to. It just all falls apart, and everything starts with the customer service. No matter what business you're in, it's even when you're
first and
talking about
foremost,
being a deckhand. I've been on boats.
exactly.
I've been on so many boats, and I'm like, I will never come back just because the crew were just like dicks, and they were all had attitude. You're just like, dude, I know like it's rough. I know you're out here a couple days, but it's like, chill out. You
Yeah,
you gotta help these people.
yeah. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I've been the most polite to people before, or I always am. It happens. You get tired, you get
Yeah.
snappy. But first and foremost, like you said, any business is a customer service business,
Yeah.
and
100%.
you need to remember that. The Dominator, the first boat I ever helped out on, I right above the helm, and I'm pretty sure it's still in the Pacifica. It says custom sport fishing is a customer service business.
Yes.
And that's something you have to remember every single day. There's
Yeah.
people are spending their good, hard-earned money to come out, and this might be their trip of the
Yes.
year. This might be
Yes.
their one vacation they get to do.
Yes.
And you being rude or short with them because they're excited to ask you a question,
Right.
that will ruin their experience and they'll never come back no matter how good the fishing was on that trip.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. That's such a good life lesson, especially for all these young guys. I mean, if there's one thing I can impart, I mean, definitely something to take away with you. Just even if you got to fake it, man, just put that fake smile on, and like, cause you hit the nail on the head. You don't know, like this person, to them, you're on the boat every single day, and to you, it's just another day, but to them, it's they've been waiting for this trip all year. You know, they came out from a different state and they look forward to their fishing trip every single year in Southern California. You know, and to them, it's so special. You know, yeah, that's cool.
I still am. I was that person, and I still am. I enjoy going out fishing.
Yeah,
If I had time, I would probably go on a few trips. But I'm working, and I I was that customer that was excited to go out and go fish, and turned into a job and all this stuff, and it's turned into a career.
yep,
Uh, Still young, 28 years old, and live in San Diego, and I'm able to live a nice lifestyle, being able to go
yeah,
fishing every day. And I like to hunt, so I have the winters off to go hunt, and I'm into it.
that's
Like
perfect, man.
I
Yeah,
love it. And at the base of it, I'm still that customer that looked at these boats with awe, and looked at Bill Poole and and Frank Lopresti and Brian Kiyohara and Brian Sims and all these big names in the industry that have built a life for themselves in a rather expensive area, and have a beautiful operation and a well-run operation to show for it.
yeah,
And they're extremely accessible. And just like Todd Meyer, Todd was extremely good with his customers, and made everyone happy, and fished hard, and was articulate. And that guy was, in his handiwork, is far by none. It's like it's something to look up to and something to remember. And like you said, being a good fisherman, there's a dime a dozen good fishermen. I grew up in the surf industry and
yep,
worked at NC Surfboards for many years, through high school. And like, being a good surfer is, yeah, it's good. You can get your sponsors and stuff, but if you got a bad attitude at contest or whatnot, or at beaches, like, it's gonna get noticed pretty quick, and you're gonna
yeah,
get pushed to the side. And
yeah,
I mean, just like the question of how to get a job there, I got a job at NC Surfboards, but I kept coming back and asking. Squeaky wheel gets the grease. My first job there was to go pick all the weeds out of the driveway in the parking lot, then go clean all the bathrooms and vacuum. And then they gave me a burrito, and I was like, cool. I got a burrito. I got to
right,
hang out the help
right,
out.
right,
I would come back all the time, over and over and over again, until finally they had me go get a work permit from my school. And that's just like, it just builds up and goes and goes and goes. And like,
yeah,
it was a good experience, because those guys were all older. I was younger by everyone by 15 years in there.
yeah,
It was like, I remember I was sitting down on a chair one time, and I greeted a customer while sitting, and I got lit up. I was like, stand up, be polite. What are you doing? Just because
yeah,
it's a surf shop doesn't mean you can be a slob.
right, yeah. That's
That's the
awesome,
same
man.
thing on the boats. Granted, we're not, our job's dirty, so we're not wearing button-down shirts and press pants and all that stuff every day.
Sure,
But
it doesn't matter.
keep your appearance up to par, and be polite, and
Yep,
say hello, and
yeah.
have
Whether you're
a
swinging a
have
hammer
a
or
different
gutting a fish,
vocabulary
doesn't matter.
than yeah, have a different vocabulary than the F word, because
Yeah,
every other word that comes out, you just, doesn't matter if you're intelligent, you just don't sound good. And it's like I said, customer service. Sport fishing is a customer service industry.
yeah, and just making yourself available too. I think that's such an important point because and I've talked about this on my show before. Like some people I'll get just random like DMs that people are just like, "Hey, sponsor me." I want to be a
Yeah,
sponsor. I'm like, these people, you're never gonna get sponsored, right? It's the people that reposting the jigs. They're kind of living the submission lifestyle. They don't ask me anything, right? They're constantly resharing. They're buying the products. Like I notice that. I see it. I share everything. Eventually, I'll reach out to those guys, and be like, hey, we could work something out. And that's extreme.
sorry, I'm hearing the gardeners here. I don't know if you can hear it in the
Yeah,
background.
we heard it. We had the blower, but yeah, and it's like you're saying when you showed up at the surf shop, it's the guys that just they post the content and they share it and they love it, and eventually you're just like, I'll reach out to them and we can work something out. But just it
Hundred
takes a little
percent.
work, and just showing your face and being there and just goes a long ways. That's
Yeah, especially in this day and age with like instant gratification.
yeah.
People that put a little bit more time in shows, it goes.
Steve Patia says I'm a carpet nerd. It's awesome to know this intel because the podcast has opened my eyes on a to work on a boat. I thought that it has my mind racing. It's amazing things that can happen. Yeah, man. I mean,
Yeah.
especially if you got that experience. I mean, even that experience is that's something you can probably bring to a boat. You know, it's
Oh, 100%. I
you're
mean,
handy. I
we're
mean, you've already got value. You know. Yeah.
yeah, we're a glass over ply boat, man. We have to do woodwork on the boat to
Yeah.
keep it up. It's built in 1963, if I'm not mistaken, and we every year we're doing maintenance to keep this boat running and running as long as we can.
Man, 1963. So,
So
how were you guys with the? Were you guys hit with the diesel engine upgrade, like the Gen 2s, or what was the?
so lucky enough, that just another reason why I was so drawn to the opportunity to be able to purchase this vessel was Todd repowered in 2017. So we have tier
Oh
three
wow.
engines. So we're good for another 7 years. And then they just passed another thing that we can apply for a 10 year. So we'll be good for 10 years
Okay.
on being it before we have to mandatory repower, right?
Right.
Sounds like SAC's working day in, day out to get us good funding for the fleet. They're doing an awesome job. Actually, a percentage of all of our trips go to them, and we can't thank them enough to help out and lobby for us and make new points to these lawmakers that, no offense to them, are just
They don't know.
putting a quick fix on this idea of
Yeah.
the sport fishing industry is making this huge impact. Charter vessels are making this huge impact, which is
Right.
just not true. I mean, most of these
Such a
boats
nonsense.
run maybe 4 months a year, and we don't put as large of an impact as I think.
Yeah.
And
And not only
they're
that, it was just like such a mess how they went in with this draconian rule changes, and they don't understand boats. They don't understand how the engines work. It's like they want technology that doesn't exist. It is just it was
100%
crazy, man. It was crazy. Luckily, we
exactly.
kind of came
Yeah,
to a some sort of a concession. You know, I know
and
CCA, and we talked with a lot of guys. You know, last year, or the year before, when this was all going down, and you know, it was we fought that really hard, man. It was crazy.
it's alarming. Yeah, it's scary.
Yeah.
Um, California is 95% rural, and our population is 95% urban. So I don't think a lot of people actually understand how valuable being able to get outdoors and what California, how much of an outdoor state or sportsman state California actually is. And there's a lot of lawmakers and rule makers that don't acknowledge that and and don't realize what a large role this all plays in our communities. And to put hardworking Americans out of business is it's unfortunate, but luckily we
Yeah.
have organizations like SAC and CCA that are fighting the
Yeah.
good fight and keeping us, hopefully, to keep us running for a long time. There's
Yeah.
always, like in any business, there's always new hoops to jump through, and you just have to figure it out.
It's never
It
ending.
just is
Yeah.
what it is. Never ending. It doesn't matter
It's just
what business
yeah.
you're in, where you're
It's
at.
just a shame, you know. People make these rules, but they don't really understand like how much money fishing licenses and all this stuff brings in that's actually paying for conservation and infrastructure. And when you chase those people away and get rid of them, it's like you're really bankrupting yourself. If conservation is really your goal, then you probably need more fishermen out there than you actually think you do. You know,
Yeah,
it's just
yeah,
crazy.
and I mean, just for example, with these rules that they're making, this new fire egress rule that came down when they first said the rules and this is what you have to do. They wanted us to put in all these new things and uh, extend walkways and all this stuff. And it's not just like a house that you can,
Yeah.
just go through. And these are
Right.
each
Yeah.
boat is a small family run business. It's not a corporation. It's not,
Yeah.
or it's not a large corporation owned by shareholders and people that can, you can pay over time. Our overhead is so large. And so luckily, and we got to give props to Sector San Diego Coast Guard for being extremely smart and on our side to see how detrimental these regulations would be and to kind of fit it to each boat's needs and what we were able to do and pass us. We got passed, by the way, for the guys that are coming out on the ship, we got passed with our fire egress rules, fully up to date on that and that new law that we had or new rules that we had to pass.
If they want
It's
like another escape hatch or something at the far end
Yep.
or something like
Yeah,
that.
so we already had one in place. We had a forward
Oh,
escape
nice.
hatch up that goes out of our wheelhouse, and then we also installed a kick out window in our galley that will have stairs. So it's it was actually a really simple fix to what they were originally saying. What they're originally saying was really worrisome. Um, we would have had to possibly get rid of bunks or a bathroom to widen our hallways, and luckily we did not have to do that. And we just had to put in a kick-out window and show our already existing uh, forward escape hatch. So we are fully up to date into code with what Coast Guard requires, along with a lot of the other boats, and they were really helpful in working with the fleet and realizing that, just saying this is what you need to do, and if you don't, you're shut down. Is just that is not going to work.
Right. It's true. So we had a question up here. I think it was Drifter wanted to know what outfits are we looking at this time of year? What kind of gear would you recommend? What do you guys
Okay,
see
yeah.
out
So
there right now?
our night fishing is ramping up. I got a trip. It was a day and a half that was leaving tomorrow. We've extended it to a 2 day so we can
Oh, nice.
be fully ready for whatever it is. I would say during the day, 30-pound fly line, 30 to 40-pound fly line setup. Sounds like a little bit of day fishing's been had these last few days. And then nighttime, minimum 80-pound, preferably 100 to 130-pound. It's at night. They chew the rope, fish the heavy gear. 2-speed reel, 40. Fathom 40 is an extremely economic reel, and it is a extremely powerful reel for nighttime fishing.
Oh,
You don't
yeah.
have to
I've
get some
relied on those
expensive big
fathoms for
reel.
years. They're awesome.
They're great. They're awesome. If you look on most crew rods, it's probably a Fathom.
Yeah. Like you said, for the price and then reliability, the power, it's perfect.
Yeah, and I would fish something like that with a mono, like three quarters filled with braid, and then mono for some shock resistant of like 100 to 130-pound, and a fluoro leader, and you will be more than good. Anything from a 240 to 400 gram knife jig. It seems like these smaller profile jigs have actually been doing a little better, or even just a 16-ounce sinker with some jig hooks on it. Small profile, quick to get down. The flat fall style jigs, they work, but they flutter a little bit. You want to get down there as quick as possible to those fish.
Yep.
Fast, quick, and listen to the crew, listen to the captain that's on the PA letting you know how deep they are. Mark your line. Ask the crew member. I pretty much strictly only use white braid now for all these reels.
Just so you can see.
We have line counters on the boat. Yep, we have line counters on the boat, and we also stop at the 50 fathom curve, which is 300 feet on our trips, and we drop down and everyone hits the bottom, and then we mark them with Sharpies. And our
that's genius,
success
actually.
rate is skyrocketed. I can't take credit for that. That's Greg and the Aztec that started doing that. And it's true. It gives people an idea. It's if we're fishing, if they're 240 feet, or a lot of times we're saying fathoms over the PA, but we'll give you a depth in feet as well. And it makes our success rate a lot better.
Knowing where you're at that's a good tip. It's so hard to guess. Like, well, how deep am I? My reel I usually have I'll have like 100. It's like a 50-pound or a 50 mono leader, but then I've got orange hollow core that's 200 feet, and then beyond that it goes into the white braid. So it's like I know how deep when I'm out of orange. I know I'm 250 feet down. If you just try to guess, it's really, really hard.
Exactly, and they make that braid that has it's like depth sounding braid or whatever depth charting braid. So like I think it's 50 feet. Like you said, it changes different colors, so you can just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you can multiply them, and by 5, you'll be all right, and you can figure out how deep you are.
Right.
And
you yell everything out in foots or fathoms. For everybody who doesn't know, a fathom is 6 feet. So, because I know some captains are like 50 fathoms, but then nobody knows how deep they're going.
We try to say 50 fathoms, 300 feet down. Or just say it in feet. It's just a lot easier.
Yeah.
Our fathometers are in fathoms, so we see that and read it out.
Right.
But it definitely, when we say how deep they are by feet, it's
the easiest way. Is just, if you do have a captain, just multiply it by 6. That's what I tell people. Just whatever number you said in fathoms, multiply by 6. That'll give you your number.
Exactly. And then with that, with that uh, you know, depth counting braid, it's usually, I think it's in 50-foot increments. So, you can multiply that by 5. Each color you see down is another 50 feet. You drop 6 colors down, you're in about 300 feet.
Right.
You go a little
And
bit
do you guys
further,
have
and
you have like a 360 electronics, like a sonar that
yeah, it's called
scans
a side
around.
scanning sonar.
Right,
Yep,
right.
side scanning sonar. That's how it's imperative how that's how we find our fish at night,
Yeah.
or all times of the day, really. Besides using a pair of binos, stabilized binos, and um, our side scanning sonar is really our primary targets of finding fish.
Yeah. Somebody was asking me that. They're like, on my boat, I can only see straight down. I'm like, yeah, because you're not seeing it. Because like, you ever wonder how the captain, is rushing to a point and then stops and tries to cut off a school? It's like they can see him in that 360 degree. That's
Yeah,
pretty
so
awesome.
we can tilt it down to different angles and all this
Yeah.
stuff and different lengths out, and we sweep around. And once we get on it, that's how at night we literally follow the school till we get over it, see it coming under
Yep.
us, turn our lights on, and you can see those fish dive off the screen and come back through and spread out. And usually we say, okay, it looks like we're going to get some bites here, and shortly after, you're going to hear hook up and people start
Right.
getting bit.
Yeah. That's so awesome.
Richie Rich, yeah, we do follow the carbon emissions laws for our engines. So we have tier 3, yeah, which we were talking about before. I don't know if you're on. Um, and company can move to Arizona. Yeah, yeah. It's if I can move the boat to Arizona and still operate out here somehow, that'd be awesome. But yeah, we are tier 3, and we are applying for another 10-year extension on from the 7-year that we already have till we have to be mandatory repowered.
You just drive it out here to Florida, man. You don't even have to get your car smogged. There's not even smog laws
Oh
out here.
yeah,
What's
yeah.
crazy
I
is
drive a diesel,
there's not
so
even
it's
like
like
the sport boats aren't even really a thing out here. So it's like I know it's totally different.
no, you guys.
In California, there's like landings are a big thing, right? Like you have to be part of a landing. I could be wrong on that, but I know it's a lot more confusing. Like in order to run a commercial operation, don't you have to be part of like a landing? That's why you always hear these separate landings in boats. Like in Florida, you just get a captain's license and go pick somebody up. Like there is one headboat. They call them headboats, but they're the same thing. There's one. I live in Jacksonville. There's one that I know of that I've ever seen, but you go up and down the coast, it's not like really a thing. They don't have big fleets of
What's
like party boats. It's crazy.
no? What's the one in Jacksonville called?
I forget, and I just saw it too. Like last time I went out. Um,
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the name too. Um, yeah, there's
I
a
just because I
few.
just
There's
passed it. I
some.
went out fishing on my boat, and then it was
Yeah,
like,
there's.
what was it? I don't remember, but yeah, it's just totally different. Because out there, don't you have to be part of like you got to join a landing in order to like operate a boat or something like that?
I don't know so much outside of it with in San Diego. Yeah, yeah, you
Yeah,
absolutely have to do. And then outside of it, and Southern California is really like the birthplace of these bigger charter boats.
yeah.
It started from the World War II era, post World War One, World War II area,
Oh,
uh,
interesting.
having barges and then you get taken out and you get a fish on the barge for the day, and there's a big barge anchored up outside of surf off a reef or something like that, and then it turned into smaller boats, and they used to pick up off the piers. Then we started getting landings and boats that were built specifically for it, not just retrofitting old warcraft vessels. And
Right.
it's pretty interesting. It's only a generation or two above me. It's these guys were doing it, so it's pretty special to see. And there's a lot of history in these boats. And San Diego was the largest provider of tuna up until the mid 1980s. We had a large purse seining fleet here that all got put out because of regulations and sent off to different countries. And then we had a huge amount of sport boats, and there's a thriving industry. So it still is. I still think it's a thriving industry. It's tough, but it's these boats are, we're in the heyday of fishing right now with bluefin for sure.
Oh yeah,
And
I know
we
it
open
was.
summer dock.
We always tell people that on the show, like to go out, because you don't know when they're going to go. I mean, albacore were the big fish. That's what everybody fished for. And then albacore left. They haven't been back, and now
Yeah,
bluefin are
it's
in, and
just like
it seems like they're here all the time. But it's not a guarantee. There might be one year where they pack up and leave. So I tell people get out there and take advantage of it now, because you just hopefully it stays around. I really hope it does, but you don't know. You don't know.
Yeah, when I was a kid, we were fishing sand bass and barracuda. That was the jam, dude. You saw
Yeah.
like a handful of yellowtail on account to go fish the islands, and it was like good luck getting on a boat. I mean, I'm not that old, but I would look at the newspapers every weekend, and see the fish counts for the week and the days before. And that was how we saw when the fish counts are going. And good sand bass fishing on a half day, heck yeah, beg my parents or have a little bit of money, go and then graduated from going to longer and bigger trips. And yeah, it's now we have bluefin fishing that's as close as full day boats are pretty much targeting those strictly. And it's the fishing we have is amazing. And if the cycle changes and we get albacore back, cool. It's I'm not really opposed to anything as long as we have something to go fish for and we're able to get off the dock. I'm all about it. From like our trip or trip. I
When I
like
was a
fishing
kid,
rockfish.
I used to always go when I was younger. It was always we went out of Davies Locker up in Orange County.
Yeah.
I grew
Yeah.
up in the
Okay.
Inland Empire, so it was my uncles all
Yeah.
lived in like Santa Ana area, so and that was my thing as a kid. Like we were talking about earlier, how it's such a special thing. I'd go. My grandpa would charter a boat for the family. He had 10 kids, and so we had a ton of cousins. But it was once or twice a year we'd go deep sea fishing, and that was like the
Yeah.
highlight of my whole life from like 13, age like 13 to
Yeah.
16, and younger. But we used to go to Catalina. There wasn't tuna no. There was no tuna around. I mean, we were fishing bonito and sheephead and
Mhm.
rockfish, and I'm old. I mean, I'm in my 40s, so this is
And you
like
had a blast.
it was
Yeah, and you had
great.
a blast
Yeah,
too. And
yeah,
look what you're doing now. You're now working in owning a company and working in the fishing industry.
yeah.
Probably if you didn't have those formative years of doing that, do you think you'd be here? I mean, that's
No,
the whole point. Like this
yeah.
industry is such an awesome thing, and it really sparks all sorts of stuff, and family relationships to work relationships and all this stuff.
Looks like the charter boat is the Mayport Princess in Jacksonville.
Okay.
I thought it was different, but that's what it's telling me.
Yeah, I thought so too. Maybe there's one more. I know there's like the Patriot. I think that's down in the Gulf somewhere.
Yeah, it's
That one's
Mayport
pretty
Princess
big.
deep sea fishing. I'll
Yeah.
check. I'm going out tomorrow, so I'll probably launch at Mayport
Yeah.
on my boat. So I'll see. I'll see it there.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome.
See what's out
It's
there.
it's always interesting to see different operations and how they do it. It's pretty cool. I've watched a couple of videos on that stuff. It seems like it's a lot of bottom fishing, and then you get a little random
Yeah,
tuna and stuff.
I went to one probably like 10 years ago. I went out of Virginia. We went on one. They actually had a party boat. They were just like, we could still see land. We were like really close. It was almost like a half day. It was a half day boat, but it was just,
Yeah.
we were just catching little tiny ass croaker, and the crew
Yeah.
they went around and they baited everybody's hooks. It was like, and then they go around in a circle, and they were just tiny fish, but I mean, it was fun. A lot of people, they were enjoying it, but
Fishing, man, people enjoy it. Some people
yeah,
don't know anything different. And that's what's great. Out
yeah,
here, West Coast, it's a little different. We have such a special fishery with our live bait fishery. The fact that we have bait barges that we can pull up and load bait up is incredible.
yeah,
You
that's
know,
huge. That's true.
like on our trip, it's going to be mostly jig fishing, but we also have live bait, and that's gonna
Yeah.
refine the schools and keep them with us.
Yep. Cthulhu Calamari says, I'm new to long range boats. Is it a good idea to get reservations with the fish processor for a 2-day trip?
Absolutely,
Lately.
absolutely. I
It's
would.
like the last 3 years, it's been like that.
Yes, the last 3 years, and
Yeah.
I think they're not going to get rid of it, no matter how busy or slow it is. It's made it a lot easier, a lot more organized.
Interesting.
You know, pick your reservation. We are more than happy to cut fish on the boat. That is part of our job. We will do
You
that
cut
for you
bluefin
guys.
too?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
We gill gut, put everything in an RSW freezer or
Oh,
fish hold.
awesome.
Sorry.
Awesome.
So our fish is kept to a great temp. We do use kill bags on the boat too, but our fish gets transferred into there, into the fish hold. The I would say honestly, 50 pounds and under, get it cut on the boat. You can take it home and process the fillets out yourself. You get anything bigger than that, you're going to want to take it to a processor, have them process it, vacuum seal it. It's going to go a lot further. It's going to stay a lot better. We cut everything we cut everything for like by reg, so we give you big full loins. Um, uh, and I think someone says nothing over 100 pounds, right? Or do you guys cut a fish? We'll cut a fish for you. You want it cut? You don't want to take it to processor? We will absolutely do whatever you would like. 100%.
Nice.
If you want us to fillet, if we caught a 200 pounder for you, or 250 or 180 or 101, doesn't matter. If you ask us to cut it, we will do it.
That's awesome. Yeah, so you guys don't know,
Yep.
some of you guys coming in, we're doing, we have a submission at sea this year. This is the trip that I put on. It's the third annual one, and we're actually going on the Voyager this year, so that's why Captain's here and talk about his trip. So if you guys want to fish with us, fish with Captain Hale, fish with me, fish with some of these guys in here, we're doing a trip. You go to submissionfishing.com. You see the tab submission at sea. So if it's something you're interested in, we definitely sign up. I think we're probably close to half sold, and we're going in October. So don't wait,
Yeah.
there's not that many. Like you said, there's only
It
18
fills up
spots
quick.
available. Yeah. Yeah. So 18
Yeah.
spots, and we're probably reaching the halfway point. We still got months to go. So if you guys are interested in something you want to do, so what can we expect on that trip? I mean, I know it's a long ways out, but how do you were talking earlier, I know me and you before we came on, about new fishing grounds for like rockfish and stuff like that. What is that looking like?
Yeah, so we had a lot of areas open up to where we can fish, and we can fish different depths. 60-mile bank is one of those areas that a lot of people know. We can go fish that. It's really good rock fishing. Sometimes our bluefins around there. Kind of do bluefin at night, rockfish during the day, white flaky meat, great to eat type stuff, and then you load up on a whole bunch of tuna and sashimi to bring home, right?
Yeah.
On our 2-day trip, that's kind of what we're going to plan to do. Since we have 2 days, we can do 1 day. If that yellowfin's around, October's a excellent month pretty much to do any type of fishing, from patty fishing to yellowfin fishing
Yeah.
to bluefin fishing to rock fishing. Like I was saying earlier, I don't care what it is as long as I get a fish and as long as it's good, right? I like fishing.
Yeah.
And as long as you catch a lot.
I really like yellowtail fishing. I mean, not yellowtail, yellowfin fishing. They eat jigs like crazy. They're small jigs. They're fun. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. They stick to the boat really well.
Mm-hmm.
They get in the corner, and whether they're 10 pounds or this last year, we had really good grade yellowfin. It was 30 to 35 pound fish. Some fish going over 40.
Wow.
Light fishing small hooks, baits, and you're watching them splash around. It's really visual. It's exciting, and it's fun. You can keep a lot of yellowfin. Mexico, you can keep 5 a person. US, we can keep 10 a person per day. So we will be carrying multi-day permits on the boat. We will most likely get American and Mexican fishing license for the boat for you guys who are coming out, just to let you know. That way we can cover our bases on wherever we want to fish. If we get dope on, hey, the fish is good above the border, we want to go out this way, we're going to go there. And since we have 2 days, we can split up our trip. One of the days we can roll down, fish the bluefin zone, right? And then another day we can roll in and fish that yellowfin zone, or we can get somewhere where we can do rock fishing and stuff.
Yeah.
And being a jig trip, these things eat them. You get on these stops and then you fish bait. I would suggest to catch a couple on bait and then switch over to jigs, or vice versa, whatever you want. But get a few fish under your boat, and whatever tactic seems to be working the best, and then go to your fun stuff. Get some fish to go home with, and then go from there. And like I said, with this 2-day trip, our options are endless, and I'm going to take us to whatever I think is going to be the most successful area and give us the most fishing time and probability of having limits and great fishing.
Right. That's awesome, man. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. So especially like those new grounds you were talking about, that's every time they open something up, because I remember they did that a few years ago. They opened up basically you can fish any depth, and then last year then you can fish pretty much, like they opened that up more. It was great, man. We caught some huge rockfish.
It's time of year on the depths you can fish. Certain times of year you can fish all depths, and then other times of year you can only fish 50 fathoms or deeper. For us, it does not affect us, because I prefer to fish deep where we're going. I want good grade fish. Not that there isn't good grade fish in shallower waters, but fish that type of stuff,
Yeah.
we have some fun.
Everybody fishes the shallow. I mean, that's the thing. We were fishing. I mean, we went out on my own boat and we were going, I mean, 750 feet deep, like 30 miles out, and just crushing these monster rockfish. It was so much fun. It was crazy, but I can't even imagine when it's like even further out. That's got to be
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, it's fun fishing, especially on the artificials. Dropping a jig down, big knife jigs, big submission jigs, and put a top hook and a bottom hook, and you get fish on each one.
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to that. So if you guys, check it out, and yeah, it should be a good time.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time, guys.
Get a ticket.
So halfway filled up, I would try to get a spot on it and come on out and see what the Voyager has to offer.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, man, I really appreciate you coming on. Where can we find you? What do you got going on? Anything you want to?
Yeah, just to answer one of the questions here, is there any rental rods available? Absolutely. The landing has all sorts of rental gear. That is something for you guys that don't have night fishing setups. They have them. You can buy jigs on the boat. You can buy them in the tackle shop. We have a fully loaded tackle shop upstairs and a very experienced crew there that will help you. We give a recommendation on what you need to bring. If you don't have it, go rent it. They rent everything from fly line gear to cod gear to nighttime fishing to big fish stuff. Where you can find me is Voyager Hale, Voyager _ Hale on Instagram, or you can also do Voyager Sport Fishing. That's another one. You can look at our fish counts on sport fishing, c4sportfishing.com or seaforthlanding.com. If you just Google C4 Sport Fishing, it'll come up. And you can kind of track the counts and what we're doing. Since we are a private charter and a specialized trip, we might be doing something different than what the rest of the fleet's doing on our trip. But yeah. Oh, the trip date.
Captain Dan, it's October 24th. I think we're leaving, right? And then coming back 25th or something like that. 24th is when we're leaving, that Friday night. I had it written down.
Yeah.
I remember because that's my sister's birthday. So I was like, oh, yeah.
There you go. Happy birthday.
Yeah. Late October.
Yeah. So we come back the 26th, the night of 26th, if I'm not mistaken. I should have brought my written schedule in here, but I left it in the living room there. So we'll have a 2-day trip, Friday departure. So you have the weekend off. It's no better way to do it.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you coming on, man. I mean, great information, good stuff. We always learn something. I love when the captains come on because it's kind of such an alien thing, being on the sport boats and you don't really know what happens in the wheelhouse. So it's really cool getting a glimpse and getting to meet the people. Yeah. I know every time you go out, as captains are extremely busy. It's like you don't see them very much. Absolutely. They're up there trying to catch fish, man. So I really appreciate you coming on and sharing some knowledge, man.
And just to put out, my Instagram's open for any questions you guys want to send. We'll try to have a good line of communication with you guys. So
awesome.
You can DM me on either one. Voyager Hale is probably a little better. And just let us know. We if you have any questions and if you're coming out on a trip or you're thinking about coming out on a trip or you want to set up your own charter, just give us a shout. We're more than happy to be in contact. And
you guys do open parties too, or are you
rarely?
Charter?
We're pretty much chartered up for the season.
Nice.
There's other open party boats at the landing, and we kind of fall on the bottom of the totem pole on who gets to put in. If there's opportunity or we have a charter cancel, we will put up a trip. Follow our Instagram. We do post on our trips that pop up that we have open parties. So if you want to hop on, you can't get a group, you can come on out.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Benji Moreno, $50 donation, dude. I really appreciate you. You've been the best longtime supporter of us. I know you've been on the trips.
Right on.
Yeah, you've been on the trips last couple of years. So I know you moved to Arizona, but love to see you out there and fish for you for 2 days. But I know it's a haul.
Yes, sir.
All right, Hale, I'll let you go. And I really appreciate you, man.
Thank you very much, guys.
You. I mean, it's going to be cool. October can't come fast enough.
Yeah.
And we're going to go get on it, man.
Absolutely.
Cool. All right, guys. Until next time, we'll see you again next Thursday. Submissionfishing.com. Oos.